I'm going to give you just a brief introduction to a Google security model. I'll talk to you a little bit about some of the security products that we've got in the works, and I'll also talk about compliance, which will get into a little bit about what we were talking earlier about the MPAA. So very quickly, when I'm talking about Google Cloud, I'm talking about our compute, storage, and application services. And there's a few more things that we've added to this slide since I created this deck. But for those of you that the cloud is a new thing, we do have our compute engine and app engine, which provide the compute services. We have a variety of storage technologies, probably Google's cloud storage. And also our persistent disk capabilities are probably most interesting to this audience. And then we have services like BigQuery, which you guys could have a lot of fun with if you need to analyze tons and tons of unstructured data. Let me talk a little bit about our security model. And just so everybody knows, this slide here, we did a project about a year and a half ago with an author from Wired magazine, and there's a really great article that Wired wrote about our data centers, and we had the pleasure of bringing in a really great photographer. Came in, we took him through the data centers and stuff, and got a bunch of beautiful pictures. And so my presentation is sprinkled with these beautiful pictures, but they're to do two things. One is they're really nice, so it makes me look better. But the other thing is that hopefully it'll give you a sense of a little bit of the scale that we're talking about when we talk about Google. So when you're thinking about not even just cloud vendors, but when you're thinking about service providers in general, kind of the types of things that a CIO or a CSO might take into consideration is what's the technology, and what is the technology that's available to me? Is it going to make what I need to do easier? Is it easy to access? Is it easy to take advantage of? Is it keeping pace, or is it ahead of the curve? And so that's a real big consideration of like, why would I go to a service provider? Do they provide me a better technology? And in some instances, the answer is yes. In some instances, the answer is no. And then, quite frankly, the key reason that anybody would want to take advantage of a public cloud is just the scale of operation. And can I work with a vendor that can provide me the scale that I need to do the jobs that I want to do? And can they provide me that scale at something that's competitive with myself doing it myself? And then also, how is that vendor? Are they agile? Can they keep up with things? I mean, from a security point of view, are they keeping up with the threat environment? Are they doing the right types of things? And are they doing this in a manner that I don't have to worry about it? And can they do it faster than my staff? And so these are all kinds of considerations that we've encountered as we've talked to customers across a wide variety of industries. But these seem to be the things that come to front of mind as people are thinking about taking advantage of Google's cloud platform. So the good news is, to kind of answer those questions, is that the environment, the cloud platform that we're making available to our customers is the platform that we use ourselves. And we use this platform to run our global search and advertising business. Our Google Apps business runs on this. Our YouTube business runs on this. This is the infrastructure that we are servicing our hundreds of millions of users across the globe. And so this is the real deal. It's not something special we've built just to build a cloud platform. And there's some really interesting characteristics about it. For us, security is a base principle of what we think about because we do use this environment to run our own business. We want to protect that business. The search and advertising business is a pretty good business for Google, and so we have security as a foundational thought in terms of building our infrastructure and services on top of that infrastructure. And so some of the things that are kind of interesting about it is that we build our own servers and our own networking equipment, and in fact, we're one of the top 5 server manufacturers on the globe. But those servers that we build are exclusively for our own use. And it's the interesting thing about it is that we've got largely a homogeneous fleet. And you might think, oh, well, why is that important? Well, the thing that's really interesting there is that enables us to maintain the fleet in a couple of dimensions. One is it's very clear to us what the hardware and software profile looks like on that fleet because it's the same across the whole fleet. And the other thing is that as a result of that, we're able to react to things like patch management and dealing with vulnerabilities much quicker than we would if our tens of thousands of servers were all different versions of software and different hardware profiles and things like that. So it's a simplicity idea which enables us to do things at very large scale. We have dozens of data centers spread around the globe that enable us to deliver uninterrupted services to all of our customers. We protect our data at rest. We protect data in transit. We use encryption technologies to help us take care of that. One of the other things that's very interesting about Google as a service provider or as just a commercial entity is that Google is very interesting and very disciplined in our software development process, but through that we're able to do some things as best practices which help us deliver more secure services. And things that we do there is, for example, all services that we build get security and privacy design reviews ahead of any code being written. All code that's written by a Google engineer is at least reviewed by a peer before it's checked into our source code repository. And we also have separation between our development operation and our actual operations of the services. And in fact, one of them another kind of fun fact is that software services that we deliver into production come through a certified build system, and we actually validate that. And so you can't actually go into our production service and patch anything unless it goes through our build services and is certified. So there's no way for a development engineer sitting somewhere in Google to actually insert code into our production systems that's not supposed to be there. We also take advantage of external security verifications and validations. We'll run the whole gamut of, we use commercial scanners to scan our services looking for vulnerabilities, and we also we'll take a step back and we will bring in independent security verifiers to actually go through source code reviews with us and help us look at things that we really want to truly harden and we want to take an unbiased look at. As Dave was saying earlier, we have over 500 personnel that are specifically involved in security and privacy at Google. And many of these people are actually experts in their field. And they continue to do security research and publish. They continue to blog and comment on the security industry, and they do tons of presentations at a variety of conferences, everything from Black Hat to RSA and everything in between. We also have one thing that we're really proud of, and this is something that we started in the industry, is we have our vulnerability rewards program where we actually pay bounties to security researchers to find problems in our software. And for example, this particular program found over 700 vulnerabilities or bugs in the Chrome browser over the life cycle of its development, and the program has paid out over $2 million to date to security researchers, and oftentimes the bounties are $10,000, $20,000 at a pop. So you can imagine some grad student working on his PhD is able to live for a year off finding a bug at Google. I fortunately don't eat that much ramen anymore, so I'm a little bit more expensive, but some of them really enjoy it. And the other thing that we do is we give them credit for it. And so for those researchers that find those things, we make sure that the world knows that they did us a favor, which helps them out as they're building up their CVs and looking to move beyond academia. We have a global network to deliver our services, and our customers of the cloud platform can also take advantage of this. One of the other things that we're particularly proud of is that we believe that we provided a lot of leadership in security innovation across the industry, and doing things like ensuring that all the email that comes out of Gmail and comes into Gmail is protected with transport layer security. We've gone to HTTPS on all of our services. We were one of the first providers to get the ISO 27001 certification information on our Google App Services, our SaaS offering for collaboration applications. And some we have some other things that we continue to do. We recently put out or a couple years ago, and we've done TLS on Gmail, and we've recently published a safe email site which has identified the service providers who are not taking advantage of TLS. And the interesting side effect of that is that some service providers who will go unnamed quickly upgraded their services once we shined a little sunlight on that. So let me shift gears here just a moment, and if you're thinking about if you're thinking about IT security, you're thinking about your services, you're thinking about using a vendor. What kinds of things are you worried about? So I'm going to take a couple moments here and just kind of give you guys a taste of the threat model and the environment that we're thinking about, and also what we've learned from a lot of customers that we've talked about. And just in case you're curious about this is the crew at our data center in Finland. They're getting a little sunshine here. So who are you going to worry about? Here's the spectrum of folks that we worry about. Hackers. We worry about if we're a customer, we're worried about the service provider. We worry about our own personnel, and in the shoes of our customers, they can worry about themselves as well. And we also worry about governments. Let's dig in a little bit here. So hackers. We have a lot of mechanisms we put in place. As you can well imagine, Google's a very large target, and we have persistent attacks going on. It's been going on for years, and the hacking community's had very little success in being successful against Google. But the interesting thing is, because we do have such a wide footprint, and we do see a lot of traffic across the globe, it enables us to get smarter and smarter on our countermeasures. And we build those things into our front-end services and the things that face the internet, and we learn about a lot of threats, and our customers get to take advantage of those protections. Well, what about us? What about Google as the service provider? I already described our software development process to you. We also employ a least privilege model in terms of access to customer data, which there are VPs in the company that are responsible for granting that access. And we also perform background checks on our employees. And we have a security and privacy focused culture. We have public information on our investor site that it explains the employee code of conduct, which employees agree to when they start employment with us. And we refresh the privacy and security information and training to our employees on an annual basis. And we do this top to bottom, every employee in the company. The other things that are hallmarks of, contrary to what you might read in the press and stuff, is that as a customer of Google, it's very clear that you own your data and you are the control over that data. Google operates in the role of a data processor and follows your instructions. We're not sharing this information with anybody else. We're not using it for our other businesses. We use your data to provide the service to you in the manner that you want it. As I said, we have strict internal policies that follow up on the privacy and security training. And I'll be really honest, we've fired people for violating that. We've shown them the door very quickly. We take it very seriously. And we also we verify what we say. We verify our policies. We track and audit our employees' activities to make sure that we're doing what we say we do. As a customer, we provide you control over your own data. And so this is an example of one of our user interfaces. It's actually a little bit dated, but what I'm trying to demonstrate to you here is that this is how we give the control to the customer. They control the access. They control who uses it. They control which services are being used. And so all of that control is placed in the hands of the customer. We do have a customer support organization that'll help you out if you run into trouble with that, but you are using these resources and controlling them yourselves. Let's talk about governments, and this this becomes very interesting in that I don't know if it really applies as much to the media and entertainment industry as it does some of the other industries. But we always have customers that are concerned about governments getting access to data that's stored in our cloud. And so a couple things about that. One is you may or may not be aware, but Google was the first to publish what we call a government transparency report. And so we are publishing information about all the information requests we get from the U.S. federal government and other governments around the world. In our terms of service or in our agreements with the customers, our customers are responsible for dealing with government requests, and it's our policy to make sure that whoever's making that request really understands that and really interfaces with the customer. And in the situations where that doesn't happen and we can't do that, unless we're compelled by law, it's also our policy to make sure that the customer is aware that that activity is going on. And we push back on that to make sure that it's very appropriately legal when those types of things do happen. We're also Safe Harbor certified, and what that means is that that enables us to comply with European privacy law, and that's we can present that to our European customers so that they understand that, and gives us legal standing. And you don't have to just take our word for it. This is last year's scorecard presented by the Electronic Frontier Foundation. They do an annual survey that they call Who's Got Your Back, where they rate the various vendors in terms of how they're dealing with handling the privacy of their customers' information. And as you can see in the middle of the slide there, we scored very well with them. The other thing that's really interesting about this is that we've improved over time. We haven't always gotten the highest mark, but the other thing that's really nice about this is that the Electronic Frontier Foundation does this on an annual basis, but they also adapt it to the changing environment. And so they're constantly pushing on what they're measuring everybody on. So it's not just a kind of a static thing. You have to pay attention to what they're paying attention to, and we try to closely. Okay, let me get in. Let's talk about compliance. So, not specific to media and entertainment, we do run a formal compliance program for cloud platform. And what we're trying to do there is we are trying to, in industry-specific terms, convey to our customers across the broad spectrum of industries that we're complying with security and privacy standards in those different industries. And to that effect, we actually use third-party auditors to attest to most of these things where it's appropriate. And so, just from an IT service provider point of view, the SSA 16 and the ISO 27001 are two very important standards there, which we bring in. We have our third-party auditor, which is Ernst & Young Certified Point. They come in and do these audits for us on an annual basis, and we can provide materials that back that up and show the evidence to our customers that we're doing that. And so this has served us very well in some other industry verticals. ISO 27001 is a pretty rigorous security and privacy standard, focused mostly on IT security. And there's 12 control areas there, and we meet all of those control areas and can make the certificate available to customers. Based upon that, we built upon that, and we're able to service the healthcare industry by complying with HIPAA. And we comply with HIPAA, and we'll meet the contractual requirements by providing a business associates agreement to covered entities in the healthcare space. I know that sounds like a lot of gobbledygook, but what that means is that if you are building a healthcare application which has patient data in it, that data is covered by the HIPAA laws, and we can provide an environment that enables customers to deliver those type of applications, but be sure that the service provider, us, is making sure that that data stays safe and private, and we're backing that up in the contract. And in a very similar vein, we support PCI DSS, which is the payment card industry's data security standard. We've certified the whole platform against version 2. And the reason it's version 2 is at the time we started the audit on that, version 3 hadn't been ratified by the payment card industry yet. They did that work, and we actually have just completed our 3.0 certification, and we're signing certificates right now. So we're very shortly, in fact, you're the first people that are hearing this right now because I got the email this morning, but we'll be making some noise about that. But so for those folks in the retail industry and the people in the banking industry that are dealing with payment card data, we provide this assurance that we'll safeguard that information as well, and they can use that to build up their compliance story with their auditors and with their customers that they need to do that with. Very quickly, FSMA and FedRAMP. These are U.S. federal government standards for government to be able to take advantage of information services. We've done FSMA where appropriate. FedRAMP has replaced that, and it's currently in process. We have a goal of getting that done by the end of the year so we can tap into those U.S. federal government customers that require that and the vendors that support them as well. And then I have this dream out here that I call the MPAA, which is really relevant to this crowd. And so I'll give you the story on this. Is that we're paying attention to it. We looked at the first version of the standard. We're like, okay, this isn't this is pretty straightforward. We think we can meet or exceed the requirements in here. But as we start to get to know people in the industry and stuff, and we learned a little bit more, everybody was kind of like, well, okay, that doesn't do anything for us. And not only did we hear that, but I think the MPAA heard that as well. And so they've gone off, and I think there's several people in this room that have been involved in that. And we've talked to some people at the major studios that have been involved with that as well. And they're retooling that, and they're retooling that to think more about cloud services and some more complex things that could be done. And so we're anxiously awaiting them to publish that standard so that we can communicate an assessment against that to everybody. So that's an activity that we have going on, and hopefully that'll be something. It's probably not the be all end all, but hopefully that'll be something that helps you guys to be able to take advantage of our platform and our competitors' platforms, to be quite frank. Hopefully that'll give an entryway. Aside from that, we're also trying to figure out and trying to navigate the process of working with the studios and really trying to listen and understand what the studios want to understand, what we can do to demonstrate to them that we're meeting or exceeding their expectations in terms of protecting their data and enabling their vendors to take advantage of our services and protect their data as well. And so, we're hoping in the not too distant future that we'll be able to tell a richer story there, so that there can be broader use of our platform in your industry. Very quickly, one of the other things that we're doing, we talked about having these over 500 folks that work on security at Google. We've built up a pretty rich tool set inside of our security organization that we use on our own products. And one of the things that I'm in the process of doing is I'm in the process of commercializing some of these products. And this is an example of the first one that's coming out. This is called Cloud Security Scanner. What this does is this is a tool that works in conjunction with applications that are developed on Google App Engine. And it basically will scan that for common web development vulnerabilities, cross-site scripting errors, DOM problems. And this is a tool we use on our own. And all products that we launch to the web have to pass through this tool or they can't get launched. And so what we've done is we've made this available to our customers. It's currently in beta. It's available in the developer's console. And you can run it against your own applications and you get feedback on it and you can fix the bugs. And part of what we're trying to do here is make our platform a really logical place to deliver safe and secure applications and let you guys take advantage of years of expertise we have in dealing with that. So lastly, what I'm going to want to convey here is let us worry about the security so that you guys can innovate and take advantage of that and take off and really focus on what you want to do. Focus on creative things, focus on innovative software, innovative applications, and let us help you with the security side of things.